Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans, and I do excuse my time zone lapse. I have been up for nearly 24 hours catching up, and I'll be on for a few hours yet, still getting things together. And I had a very interesting email from one of my regular subscribers. She knows who she is. And she's forwarded an email that has been sent out by Dr. Anthony Turton. And I'll just read to you what he says. Some years ago, when the first Eskom load shedding began, I was invited to participate in a simulation exercise run by the multinational risk consulting company. The team were all former intelligence officers now applying their profession to large corporates by getting ahead of the curve. The simulation resulted in a sophisticated risk map that identified key milestones that were likely to be encountered on the journey to the inevitable Black Star event. A Black Star event is what happens when the national grid crosses a defined threshold and becomes unstable just before it crashes. And we've seen that happening in places like Vanderbijl Park and down in Pinetown, Marion Hill in recent days. When it crashes, it's unstable to be restarted because you need energy on the grid to excite the generators and synchronize the different power stations. Now, look, here's the issue, guys. Because of BEE, you've got the children in the class running the school. It ain't gonna work. And with Eskom, when you got Mr. Phakamanied running Eskom and a whole range of BEE imports supporting him, it ain't going to work. They don't understand the technology. It's way over their IQ. Way over their IQ. They've kicked out the people who could actually make this happen. And it's now landing in a big heap of the proverbial. Okay, carrying on with the email from Anthony Turton. The last few days we have crossed some of these thresholds which lead to a complete collapse of the Eskom grid. Events with two standing out as being particularly pertinent. The first is the inability of Rand Water to pump sufficient volumes of water to keep the reservoirs full. Now, I've been talking about this, that to keep the reservoirs full in places like Johannesburg or Gauteng, around Gauteng, they need electricity to pump the water up. And once the grid goes down, those little reservoirs are going to empty very, very quickly. And when you turn on your tap, you're going to be getting air because there's nothing there. Anyway, Turton continues by saying, this means that 45% of the total population suddenly has no water to drink, bathe, flush toilets, and keep the economy going. This is now starting to happen. Do you hear what we're saying? 45% of the total population of South Africa, something like 20 million people. This is really bad. He goes on to say that the second relates to banking and the flow of money in the economy. I have just had dinner in a restaurant where they were unable to accept my debit card transaction because load shedding had shut down the network needed to sustain such a transaction. This is chilling because it was one of the thresholds we modeled just before a Black Star shutdown. At no time in my entire life have we ever been so close to total system failure. And frankly, it's a little scary because the security measures all converge on the outbreak of anarchy once the ATMs and debit cards are no longer able to transact. Now, guys, look, you know what it's like. They talk about a hurricane where you got that hole in the middle and there's a calm before the storm. Right now, you're in that hole. A whole lot of things are going to start happening in South Africa very soon, okay, which are not going to be nice. And the best way you can support your family is by prepping. And I'm going to put directly below this video a link to Boer and Broer. And I'm so delighted that a lot of people are now subscribing to that channel and getting advice on prepping because, you know, your lives matter. I don't care whether you're black, brown, white, Asian, Indian. It doesn't matter. Your lives matter. The problem we have is that we have a feral government that is just completely destroying the country. Okay, so thank you very, very much to TMP. I'm just going to call it TMP because I don't want to give their ID away. But this is a very valuable and valued bit of information. And thank you, Dr. Anthony Turton. All right, guys, have a great day and